and continued to write, and I just recently got it together enough and felt good enough about my songs that I could put them on record. And so I'm in Houston and Dallas, and I'd sure like to go up to Austin and see some people up there because I've got a lot of friends. But basically just going around seeing some stations. I'm doing some like interviews and FM broadcasts and things like this.
You doing anything in the way of an actual concert tour? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to do a concert tour with Billy Joel starting November 13th, and we'll probably be in Dallas and Houston sometime in the middle of the tour. So it'll be probably around December.
Yeah. December, just when everybody's gone and gone home for
just in time to miss dinner.
Break and whatever. Right.
You mentioned you'd be touring with Billy Joel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Could you just tell us something, maybe some ideas about your music? Just from listening to you, it's sort of in the James Taylor, Van Morrison, or Jackson Browne type vein, kind of folk and a little mixture of rock and some easier stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously that's the type of music you like.
Well, it's music that when you write your own songs, you have a tendency to get very concerned with the words, and you have a tendency to not be very objective about it because some of the songs have been in your own head for a couple of years. I grew up listening to the words in songs. People like Hank Williams and Ian Tyson, I think, is a great writer. Songs like The Wayward Wind, and it's not that I'm not into it. I'm into just about anything, but this is what felt natural for me to do, and the way that I like to make music. It's just a little softer than most, with an emphasis on the words.
How do you like to write when you write? Do you just, like to sit down with your guitar in a quiet place and just start playing, or do you compose at, say, the piano, or?
Well, I write with both, whatever's available at the time, and whatever hits you at the time. Like I wrote one of the songs on the album, Margarita, on the back of a napkin on a PSA flight in California. And different songs, you just come to you at different times. You have to kind of roll with the feeling. And it's always painful for me to write, though. It's one of the hardest things in the world. If I could take a pill and just write songs, I would, but it's very painful for me. Painful, I don't mean depressing. It's just a very hard thing to do. It's not easy.
Why don't you do one for us now?
Sure. I see you queuing up some. What are you queuing up, and I won't play it?
I've got...
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, on your album, of course you record with a lot of other backups and helps. And when you come through touring, are you going to be touring with just you and your guitar, or are you going to be bringing some people with you?
Maybe a couple pieces, because I know that Billy's got a good-sized band, and I think people are accustomed to hearing a much fuller sound than just a guy and his guitar anymore. I think on some things it's really effective, like on Loving Arms, or something that's pretty personal. I would just do it just by myself. But on other things, I'd like to have a couple of pieces with me. Certainly not a string section and a horn section.
I noticed that on the album, the record company has it plastered with labels hyping that particular song.
Mm-hmm.
In talking with other artists, there seems to be a difference of opinion between what the record company thinks is the one that they should hype and what is really the best piece of music on the album. Are you in agreement with A&M on this, or are there things on there that you like better but perhaps don't have the commercial appeal in their eyes?
Well, Loving Arms, I think the basic reason why they put it on the front of the album was because it's the thing that people will most readily come to mind that I've written. But the single's going to be Margarita, so we felt good about that, and it's gotten the best response for them too. But they put that on there so that in case the song Loving Arms has been recorded about 60 times, so they figure somebody's heard it somewhere along the line sometime. But it certainly wouldn't be what I would say would be the most commercial. I don't even know what commercial means anymore.
They seem to have a feeling. What do you think is the best thing that you've done on the album?
I think there's two songs. I think Blue Sky Rider is one of my favorite songs on the album, and Margarita. And I'll sing Margarita for you if you want to play Blue Sky Rider, because I don't mind singing.
Fine. Great.
Just to talk a little bit about your new album, where did you cut it?
We cut it in Quadraphonic Studios in Nashville.
Okay. Who helped you with it?
Well,
when you're getting people to help you cut an album, where did you go to find them?
Well, my producer, Mentor Williams, who is a really fine writer, I almost said also, was a fine writer, period. I'm thinking of his brother. He's Paul Williams' brother. And Mentor wrote Drift Away for Toby Gray. And he's my producer and a good friend of mine. And he is very tight with a lot of really good musicians in Nashville who have been my friends, too, and are my friends. And I wanted Lonnie Mack to play on my album, which Lonnie's just about the biggest legend in American guitar music. He's the best guitar player in the world, period. And I wanted Lonnie to be on the album, and so we had to bring him out of the hills to play on the album. Finally got it done, and so we made the album in Nashville because it was comfortable to have those people there, and also to get Lonnie there. And Lonnie had a great story when he got down to the session, you know, because he's a very funky cat, you know. He's raised in the country, and he lives out in the country, and Eric Clapton called up Lonnie and asked him to play on his album, on the 461 Ocean Boulevard album. And I said, what'd you do? Lonnie said, well, I don't know, son. It was, I think the boy picks real good. He picks real good, but I just couldn't get it, I just couldn't fit it in. And I said, Lonnie, it's Eric Clapton, man. He goes, the boy picks real fine. He picks so good, but I just couldn't fit it in. You know, we had to put the outhouse up last week, and the little woman came down with the flu. And by God, we couldn't make it down. And I said, Jesus. So Lonnie came down and played some really fine stuff on the album. Played on every cut, and it sure made me feel at home. Because he didn't play anything electric, just acoustic. And he's dynamite.
Did you do any electric?
Yeah, I played electric on a couple cuts on the album, but we had Reggie Young and Lonnie Mack, and Reggie is another killer guitar player. He gave Duane Allman his first guitar. So with all those heavies around, I hid out a lot, you know. Just came in and sang the words.
Yeah, just stand up there and not hit the strings.
The next album we're going to probably do in Los Angeles, and I think I'm just going to fly Lonnie out and just hold him up in my place for about 2 weeks and feed him, and then turn him out at night to the studio, because he's just brilliant. I can't explain really how good he is, but for American guitar pickers, he's the best.
How come somebody like that never hits the charts or never has his albums out and things like that?
Well, Lonnie made about 3 albums on Elektra, and the business kind of freaked him out, you know. He went out to L.A., lived out there with his family, and he just kind of, the business got to him, and he figured his life was much more important than, or his soul was much more important than getting beat up all the time in the music business, because it's a painful way to make a living. He's just now getting back into it. He's written some really good songs. Got a couple songs on Toby Gray's new album, a song called Hey Dixie, and Watch Out for Lucy. So he's slowly kind of getting back into it, and I expect him to be right in there pretty soon. Anytime you feel, if there's any part of the album that when you listen to it, it feels like it's so sensitive that we barely could get through it, it's because Lonnie was on the session, and you know, he has all those vibes of all those years of playing, and played for James Brown for 5 years, you know, and then if you remember his version of Memphis, you know, Lonnie's version, and he still has that flying wedge guitar that Bo Diddley gave him, you know.
Do you live in Los Angeles now?
Yes.
How does the music business get to use it at times?
Oh
or?
yeah, it always does. I'm really fortunate to be with a really fine company, I think, and everybody's always got gripes about their record companies, but I think A&M is they've really been good to me, and I owe them a lot because they stuck with me when they were always in my corner, more or less, and so that a lot of the BS is eliminated.
What's the most enjoyable part for you about being an artist and
right here,
working?
Just singing like for you guys, and the singing of the words you've written is really satisfying.
It's worth all the hassles you go through in cutting an album.
Sure
like
is. Just, and I mean that with no shit. I mean it's really true. It's the most satisfying part of it is to sit down and sing, if somebody is listening and enjoys it.
What do you have planned for your future? Do you want to? I imagine you want to cut some more albums, and you want to become financially independent. And what do you want to do afterwards? Do you foresee this as something you're going to be doing for a long time, or do you have some higher goal to be able to accomplish once you build up?
Well, I think that the main thing, every writer naturally would always like to have his songs be accepted using his voice and have success that way. But if you if your songwriting is always good and it's accepted through the years, to hang on as a good songwriter is one of the hardest things in the world to do. There are, I wouldn't say hundreds, there's a handful of very good songwriters in LA and Nashville who are 45 and 50 years old and still write top 10 records, like Harlan Howard. You know, he's been writing country songs for 25 years, man, and he has a top 10 record about every 3 or 4 months. That's his lifeblood, you know, to write. So I just want to continue to write good, because when my writing goes bad, I know that my life is going to get really screwed up. And so far it's been working out pretty good, you know. It's the writing, I've gotten a lot of things covered by a lot of people, and that's the most important thing for me. And to be an artist is, you naturally have to make a good effort at that, and I enjoy it, you know, being in the studio and working with good people. So I'll continue to do this as long as I can.
Have you done any touring in the past, like when you cut the album with Mimi? Did you and Mimi?
Sure. We toured Europe. We toured all of America with Cat Stevens, and we did a tour with James Taylor, a small one, which was an interesting tour because at the time Carole King was opening the show for Mimi and I, and then we'd open for James, and by the end of the tour, James was opening for Carole King, and we were off the tour. She'd gotten so big, and about 9 million albums later in Tapestry, you know.
The album that you cut with Mimi would complement James Taylor's stuff very well. It
Yeah.
flows into itself.
Yeah, that was a nice part of my life, you know. I really respect Mimi, and we had some very good times.
Got the album behind you, Cal. Might as well grab a hold of that one too while we're at it. No, that's focus. I don't think they fit in at all.
How did you like touring? Was it a real hassle, or do you have lots of fun when you go out and tour? What do you do after a concert, or what did you do after your concert?
Right, get smashed, right?
Yeah, usually just get as loose as you can possibly get. Freak out in the room, watch TV, get high.
I assumed you slept late in the mornings.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just the normal things that anybody does when they like getting loose after you've been in an intense situation, you know, performing. You try and forget about it till the next time. I enjoy it though, because I enjoy moving. So today we went to the Houston Museum of Fine Arts, which is a nice trip. It's right across the street from the hotel, and it's nice. I don't mind being on the road. It beats being home and staring out the window and trying to figure out what you're going to do. Or write. I'd rather do anything than write.
How long you been at this business? How long you been doing professionally? Play coffee house circuit, or how did
Well, when I was in college, I played all around California, and I went to the University of California and graduated in 1970. And at that point, I was going to go to Columbia and to become a English professor. I got a scholarship to go to Columbia, and I was going to teach English literature at the University of London. So I abruptly gave that up after I graduated, because I couldn't see going to school for another 5 years, and I was just into music, you know. But I sang it every chance I could get when I was in college. So I've been in it for about 4 years now. It's real hard.
That's pretty good in 4 years' time.
Yes.
Really.
Why don't we do another song? You want to?
Do you want to play one off of here?
Yeah, why don't you play Blue Sky Rider? I haven't heard it in a while.
All right. See if we can get it all together and make it all work right.